gonna sue. Drink water. Don't drink and drive.
Game over!
Take it light. Okay.
Now you're more fluent.
He got three!
Up, Bears.
So this is really good right here. Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Welcome to the All-American Hoops Podcast, episode 30. 30 is a big number, not going to lie. This feels even bigger than, even more important than 20. So, it's been since November now at this point. So, yeah, it's been a while, but it also feels like we just started. So it's pretty cool that we have that time of year like this. Free agency is a massive time of year. I always say, buffering a little bit, I always say that basketball, more specifically the NBA, is like a 12-month sport because free agency is always so big. It's not as big as it is this year and than in years past, but still very, very big. So yeah, we got a few big things that went down. Yes, free agency is going to be the main bulk of our conversation, but we got a few other things to talk about as well. But I just wanted, before we talk into that, I'm going to dive into my team. Fan, myself and John and Matt, the two regulars on the show, are because even though they just won the title, it still feels like they won the offseason, even though they haven't really addressed anything additional, because they re-signed Luke Cornett, Nemes Keita, and just an hour ago Xavier Tillman. They extended Derek White and Jason Tatum. This is such a great team and a very expensive team now. But it just feels like it doesn't matter because they were just so good this past year, and the team just wants to run it back again. There are very few egos on the team, which is awesome to see. And as a fan, I just hope that it continues, and I think it will continue because this team is just an awesome team to watch. And overall, it's just something that I love to see. But one more Celtics thing I did want to touch on is Celtics legend Kemba Walker announced his retirement today. 2019-20 and 2020-21 season. The 2020 season was a lot better than the 21 season. But that being said, I still think that his impact today, he impacted the Celtics big time, and I still think that he impacts them big time today as well. He loved playing with the Jays. The Jays really looked up to him. Obviously not physically, but he was a big fan of the Jays and building around them. He saw it from day one. You saw how happy he was playing with them on Team USA. And he was just an overall stand-up guy, and obviously a starting center for the majority of the season. And so, yeah, shout out Kemba Walker on an awesome career and everything with him. So I'm very happy very happy to see Kemba finish off his career now. And I think he's going to enjoy retirement a lot because he seems like a very stand-up guy and someone who's just going to will be on the show as per usual. They're gonna come talk about free agency, and then we also have a family friend of ours coming on the show as well. So tune in for a great show, and we're all excited to get going. This is the All American Hoops Podcast. Welcome to the show. As per usual, I'm joined by my younger brother, Matt Driscoll.
Chris, 30 episodes. It's an honor. Some people say the Steph Curry episode. I'm going to say the Sam Hauser episode.
Ooh.
Very excited to kick it off.
Very nice. Yeah, all I'm saying is one of those guys is the best catch and release shooter of all time, and it's not Steph Curry. So I'm not going to. Yeah. Also joined by my older brother, John Driscoll.
Hey, thanks for having us on, man. Matt, good call on the Sam Hauser episode. I am going to personally say it's the Cedric Maxwell episode.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely. Cornbread, the finals MVP there. And finally, 30 episodes in, we finally have someone who's been asking to come on for a very long time, and we finally found a spot open for him. We're super happy to have a longtime family friend on the show, Liam McAllister.
It's an honor, gentlemen. Long time coming, and I have a lot of things to say today about what's been going on in the NBA. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I would say 30 episodes too late.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you on, Liam. What a lot of people don't know actually is even people that know us in real life actually, for the beginning part of their high school career, but my sophomore year and John and Liam's senior year, Liam and I were actually shooting partners at basketball practice under Andrew Bilodeau. So that's one thing that we'll always have. We were both centers, so we didn't really shoot the ball too well, but it's still something that we did pretty well on. He's actually the one. So okay. So I'm gonna try not to talk a lot in this episode for obvious reasons, but bunch of news to talk about now. Liam is a massive Brooklyn Nets fan, so they haven't really been active in free agency, but they did, however, have a big trade last week. They made a trade with their crosstown rivals, the New York Knicks, giving away basically he was the face of their franchise for about a year and a half there. Mikal Bridges. They were able to get back, was it 5 first-round picks? So they got a good amount back for a guy like that, and Bojan Bogdanovic, known Celtics killer. So Liam, he's a good guy to have when you. But yeah, Liam, just want to know what your thoughts are on the trade overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those deals that both sides come out feeling really good about it. I think the Knicks fans, obviously, this is giving them a player that fits into their culture, and I think that he plays, uh, a pretty consistent style with those guys. He's played in college with them, so he'll be a good fit. And then on the Nets side, it's they need to get closer to their goal, which is being an NBA champion, and keeping Bridges as their top player is not really getting them any closer. So it was time to move on. It's time to start a rebuild. And they're really looking to accumulate a lot of losses this year, finish bottom 4, have a really good chance at the top pick. And I think it really puts them in a good position, more draft picks down the road. And then subsequently, they had the trade with the Rockets, which I don't understand what the Rockets are thinking, truthfully, but we'll take it. So,
Yeah, Liam. I think what you said about how both teams seem happy about it. Like the Knicks are definitely in win now mode. And I was talking about it with a couple of Knicks fans about Mikal Bridges. Like he's a very, very great like third option, but he's not really anything more than that. I think I don't think he could really be a second option on a championship team, and he definitely can't be a first option. So I think it's the right move for the Nets to move on. 5 first-round picks is crazy. Maybe it'll turn out to be like a Celtics next trade with Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett deal. Sorry to bring that up, but great deal for both sides. The Knicks are going to be very good. They're a little small. We'll talk about them losing Hartenstein a little bit later in the episode, but yeah, definitely a good trade for both teams.
Yeah, just to really echo what you guys were saying, I think I think both Knicks and Nets fans both kind of admit that it's a really good deal for both sides. It's kind of weird when you're trading 2 New York teams. You don't want to give away something because it could come back to bite you in the ass. But I think with this situation where both teams are, with the Knicks, you could argue that they gave up 5 first-round picks is a lot for a, like you said, Matt, really good third option. But I think you're kind of starting to see the value of adding that, third, superstar or third star in that role, I think is really valuable to them. And I think a lot of teams are going to sacrifice picks when they are in that win now mode. So really good job by the Nets to get 5 first-round picks, though, because, they weren't winning a championship with him at the 1. So all around, good move.
Yeah, and I just want to give mad props to Sean Marks there because I know that around the trade deadline last time around, they rejected the Rockets deal for just basically an awesome deal. So, Matt, yes, so definitely good on Sean Marks for finding a way to maximize Mikal Bridges' value there. But obviously, the one negative is that they're like the Nets are essentially left with not many great players at all. They did sign Nick Claxton to a 4-year. I think it was 4 years. Was it 4 years? 140 minutes. It was 20. I think it was 4 years, $80 million actually for Nick Claxton. So, William, I don't know if we talked about Nick Claxton before, but what's your opinion on him?
I think he's a solid player. He's a good piece on a great team. Defensively, not as good of a rebounder as I'd like him to be, given his like limited offensive ability. But look, the Nets have money to spend right now. They're going to be bringing guys in through the draft on rookie deals, so it doesn't hurt them keeping a guy like him, a veteran presence down the road. They're going to wind up moving some players now post this Bridges trade to really sink in the tank. So I'm okay with them keeping him. I think he's a unique player. Personally, I like Jared Allen better when they had him, but he's still good. He's one of the best shot blockers in the league right now at Claxton's.
Yeah, definitely. They got to pay like some guys. The Nets, like they're obviously not going to compete in next couple 2 or 3 years. But you know he's a great defender, like you said. With the rookies coming in, he'll be a good bet piece. But yeah, you got to pay some guys. Maybe they'll extend Ben Simmons or something. We'll see.
I think with Claxton, he's like Liam said, he's a young player. He's just turned 25. He's now under team control for the next 4 years. And I think that when you have the opportunity to find we see how valuable rim protection and, good defensive big men are in this league. And when you can lock someone down for their, before and I guess at the beginning of their prime, it's a good move. And, you can relate it to, he could be like a Robert Williams on a good team like that, just maybe not going to give you 25 a game, but you don't really need that if he's playing great defense on the other end. And, like Liam mentioned, he does need to kind of improve rebounding the ball, but I think it's a good move.
100% agreed. And yeah, Matt brought up Ben Simmons. I think that like I saw a TikTok earlier about Ben Simmons. Jesus Christ. I kind of think that the Nets should play Ben Simmons like 30+ minutes a night. Just because he's I don't like he's not going to be someone to help you win a lot. He's not going to be someone to like guide you to a championship or even close to it. But however, you're paying him a lot of money. He has shown flash, like it was a long time ago, but he was an all-star 3 years ago. Just give him the full keys this 1 year and just let him do what he needs to do. And yeah, like this, they've already acknowledged like this is going to be the year that they're just going to let everything happen. Just like let them lose a bunch of games. Just play the guy that you're paying tens of millions of dollars to do it, and just let him do what he needs to do, because this might be depending on how he's feeling, like this might be the first day of this, but I wouldn't take it out of the equation.
Yeah, Chris, I saw something on Twitter. I saw a couple Sixers fans tweeting about how they needed a 4 and how maybe his return to Philly is in the near future. I think that will be hilarious, seeing Sixers fans maybe talk themselves into Ben Simmons again. The majority of them were very against it, which is very fair. I think I played more minutes in my Monroe League game last night than Ben Simmons has in the past 3 years. But we'll see what they do with him. He's making a lot of money. I don't know who will trade for him. I don't know if a contending team will trade for him, but we'll see.
Yeah, man, I think I agree with both of you on that. I'm like, he has a cap hit of $40 million this year. And, maybe if you can stay healthy and have like let's say a solid first half of the season, you can try to push him at the deadline. The problem is, I think with that high of a cap hit for 1 year, he's unrestricted free agent next year. Like, you would probably have to attach like picks or like better players with him to make that like more favorable, or like eat the money. And at that point, why wouldn't you just keep him? And I think with where the Nets are right now, they want to stack picks. They want to, start this rebuild off strong, I don't think attaching picks to get rid of a bad contract is the right move, especially when you just moved a $25 million contract now. Like, you have the space.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult position. I've been back and forth on what they should do with Ben Simmons, but I think you keep him. Like you guys said, he's got a difficult contract to move 40 million with the salary cap in basketball nowadays and the new rules with the aprons. It's going to be tough to move a guy. And now that free agency has progressed along, these teams are running up against like the second apron, and that restricts how they can trade potentially multiple players for a single player. So it's not really just about like matching money at that point. Um, it's difficult though. For one, the guy hasn't played in a while. You don't know how the team feels about that, all the players in the locker room. But I think you kind of just let him play. You see, maybe mid-season, if he's playing decent, you could get something for him. He's already 27. He'll be 28, like by the time this year comes around and his contract is up. So it's not like he's that young anymore. Um, Personally, I think you just kind of let it ride out. So you're not going to get much value. Maybe a team will dump you a bad contract, but I don't know if anybody's on a $40 million contract right now playing this poorly.
Yep. Yes. So it's only when I talk. We'll be having a conversation about the Nets drafting Cooper Flag and building around Cooper Flag to see how good he could be, because he wanted to commute that far from where he lives now. So that'll be very interesting in the future. But yeah, let's talk. Touched on the Knicks a little bit. So I think as of now, we all agree that the Celtics are the best team in the East. I talked about it a little bit in the monologue. And a lot of people do have the Knicks as number 2. I think most people do. Do you think that it's a lock? Do you think it's the Celtics that can compete with them? I might have to say that again, but
No, I think I know where you're going with that. I think it's I think 2 and 3 is pretty much a toss-up between New York and Philly, and it's pretty much just what you can kind of value or what you think can bring them to a deep playoff run, what you value more. I think you can argue that the Sixers are probably a little bit more top-heavy. They have like the Joel Embiid. In a series, Joel Embiid is probably the number 1 guy there, and he kind of showed it on one knee this year. I know Jalen Brunson had a great series, but I think with the addition of Paul George, the Sixers kind of rival the Knicks in that bit, but I would probably still put the Knicks ahead just because of their depth. I think they're really going to struggle against a team like Philly in the playoffs just based on the lack of center depth, but everything else around is you're just looking at a team that's primed to make a finals run or an Eastern Conference run. Just with their, I know Jalen Brunson has been, people say he struggles on defense, and he does, but they've surrounded him with elite two-way wings to kind of help you cover that. And, they have great depth in Josh Hart, and the loss of Isaiah Hartenstein sucks, but I think locking down and having those wings is very valuable.
Yeah, John, I totally agree with what you said about it's between Philly or New York. We'll talk about Paul George in a little bit, but and losing Hartenstein is big for the Knicks, but I still think the Knicks are the second best team in the East. I know Chris might still put the Bucks there for some reason. I guess he likes injuries and no defense, but I still think the Knicks are the second best team. Joel Embiid is a better player than Jalen Brunson. I do trust Jalen Brunson more in the playoffs. I don't know how many times we're going to have to see Joel Embiid piss down his leg in a series and be like, oh, if he was healthy. Well, he's never healthy, and that's a problem. The Knicks spacing got a lot better, especially with Mikal Bridges. He shoots 40% from the corner. I forget what OG Anunoby shoots from the corner, but it's pretty high as well. I know Julius Randle at points is, frustrating to watch. He does have stinkers, but he provides a ton of spacing for Jalen Brunson. speaking of playoff droppers, we mentioned Joel Embiid. We have to talk about how horrible Julius Randle is in the playoffs. But I think this year it's his prove it year because 2 years ago in the playoffs he had a bad series, but he was hurt. 2021 he had a bad series, but he also had Alec Burks bringing up the ball for him. So you really can't take a ton of stock into that. But this is the year in the playoffs where if he's bad, I will just say he is a playoff dropper. But I do still have New York above Philly, especially in the playoffs. I think they have guys that play better in the playoffs. Paul George is known to have bad playoff games. I used to be a denier of that until he signed with Philly. Now I am pushing that agenda very, very heavily. Maxey just got extended, which is good. They're locking him up, but I still have New York. I think Philly is definitely has more talent on top with Joel Embiid, Maxey, and Paul George, but just overall depth, New York is way better.
Yeah, I would say I think the Knicks are the better team. I think they're the second best team in the East. And it is between the Sixers and the Knicks at this point on paper. But that playoff series was pretty close, a bunch of those games where the Sixers lost. And I think the Sixers have the two best players on the court, arguably. Maybe not Maxey. They have the best player on the court, though, in Embiid, if he's healthy. Um, I think with Bridges and now OG, you can throw two guys like at Paul George, or at least one of them's in insurance if someone gets banged up during the series. The concerning thing, though, with the Knicks is, like we touched on, Hartenstein's gone, and are you really going to rely upon Mitchell Robinson to stay healthy? I don't know about that. And Julius Randle is not going to have a good time dealing with Embiid in the post. So, but I'll still stick with the Knicks. I think they're a more sound defensive team, and I think they're just really well balanced.
And I think that when we talk about like Mitchell Robinson, like you can't rely on him to be your starting center. We're not talking about like his ability. I think he's a really, really talented center. And if you get a healthy season out of him, then like the sky's the limit for the Knicks, really, because that's their one like weakness. But like with his injury history, can you rely on him to stay healthy? And if he doesn't, like Jericho Sims is your next best option. Like that needs to be addressed. And I don't really know how it can be with how much money they're paying, their main guys. And I know they got some good deals with Bridges and Brunson, but still.
I saw a rumor on Twitter today that they were looking into Walker Kessler, trading for Walker Kessler. That would be awesome for them. Move Mitchell Robinson to the bench, play him like 20 minutes a game. Also, they were looking at Nick Richards, and Nick Richards played our high school in, I think, 2017, and he cooked our 6'5" center. So I think he's pretty good. So if they get either of those two guys, I think that's a big addition for them.
So yeah, great points being made, gentlemen. As of now, I do have the Knicks number 2. I still do believe in the Milwaukee Bucks because last year was considered an absolute disaster for them, and they finished as a 3 seed. I do think there is a world where Giannis finishes as like a top 2. That's maybe not to the extent of 2021, but still to the best of his abilities. But yeah, I still think Knicks won, and then I think it's like a tie 3-4 between the Sixers and the Bucks because obviously I have my reservations about the Sixers, not only regarding Embiid, but regarding more specifically regarding their depth because they really don't have a strong, bench. If you like, once you put Oubre and Lowry in. But as long as we're done with the talk about the Knicks, we're going to talk about the bigger free agent signings. So, Liam, who out of the free agent signing so far, which one do you think is the biggest one? Like the best, the best signing?
I'm going to go with Paul George. The Sixers had so many holes on the team. I think that he's automatically, you plug him into the lineup, they're improving the team. Do I think that they needed to probably balance out the roster better? Yeah, but I don't think that this free agent market would have allowed them to do that, and I don't think they have the trade assets to go out and build out a bench. So I think this was the best way to build their team. I think this was the best signing. Even though he's a little bit older, he's still a top player in the league.
Yeah, it's a shame. I'm gonna have to start pushing anti-Paul George agendas. I really like him, but I will do it. Do not get me wrong. John, do you want to go next? I don't want to steal yours. I feel like I've been going after Liam all day.
Yeah, I'll just. I mean, I think that this was like a kind of a tough selection, which was the best because it was such like a weak free agent class, and like you'd say you can make the argument that some of these are like overpaid, but that's kind of what you have to do when you need to fill a hole. So I won't say Paul George, but I'll take one that I do think was an overpay. That's Isaiah Hartenstein to the Thunder. And while it's an overpay, I still think it's a good signing because it filled like a drastic need, and I think that filling that need could put them like over the top. $29 million a year is a lot of money, but he, you don't have to say he earned it, but that playoff run definitely helped come contract time, and the Thunder really needed like a true big man because Chet wasn't that true center that they needed. He's not big enough. But going back to what I said, you can definitely consider it an overpay just because $29 million a year, granted only over 3 years, but like Derek White just got $31 million over, was it 4 years? And maybe that's just a testament to the good value and the good deal that the Celtics got for Derek White, extending him before he ran out of his contract, giving him the max, but not like, rolling the dice and trying to maybe you wind up paying him even more next year. So I think that's probably more of just a testament to a great deal that the Celtics got. But I think the Thunder had to make this move, and, they'll be happy they did.
Yeah, I let you go before me, and that's what I get. You took my pick of Isaiah Hartenstein. He outplayed what the Knicks could pay him, with the new CBA rules or CPA, whatever it's called, with Grant Williams. I don't know what he was doing, but teams can't pay anybody anymore. What an idiot he is. But teams are not willing to go on the second apron, so Hartenstein walked. $29 million a year is a lot for him. Like you said, Derek White's getting 31. But you got to overpay for your guys, and the Thunder's need was offensive rebounding and a true five. Chet showed that he is a very good player, but he showed that he is a 4. He's 7'1", but he cannot bang down low with the big guys. So John took my signing. I'm gonna do a kind of a different approach. I think the best signing, not the best signing, but a very important signing for future development is Chris Paul to the Spurs. 1 year deal, $11 million. Obviously the Spurs aren't going to win or compete. I have said my fair slander about Chris Paul in the past, but he will help develop Victor very, very well. He'll teach him a lot of different rules, like different ways of the game, a lot of lobs. Maybe he'll teach him how to foul bait and cry to the refs very well. But in the year, I think it's a very good signing for the Spurs. It gives them, Chris Paul's still pretty good. The Warriors were bad this year, but I think he's still a pretty solid player. This is what the Spurs needed last year, and they were my pick last week to make the play-in before this signing. Now I am definitely pushing that agenda. I know it's not really a huge agenda to be a top 10 seed in the West, but I'm standing on it. They're going to be a top 10 seed.
Chris Paul, he'll really teach him how to not win a championship.
Yeah. Hey, how about Chris Paul? Beating his addiction. What is he now? 3 years sober. He's the finals. Proud of him. Up to overcome.
Good stuff, gentlemen. Yeah, definitely agree with all that. Yeah, I'll address a few of those. We talked about PG a little bit. I do think that and Chris Paul, obviously not going to be huge for basketball reasons, but I do think that he is going to be a big, he's going to be like a very, it's going to be a very nice story at the very least, like a nice vets mentoring Wemby. I don't know how long it's going to be. If he's going to re-sign after next year too, that'll be interesting to say the least. But there's a few more big signings as well. Big one that I loved actually is KCP to the Magic. I was a big. It's like almost two of my favorite things. I was a big Orlando Magic fan this year. I was big on them heading into the year, and then they were even better than I thought they were going to be. So shout out Paolo Banchero and Jamal Mosley for bringing in like a 2-time champion in the KCP as well. So he's going to be huge for the Magic as well. And the Magic also, I don't know if you guys caught this, but the Magic extended Jonathan Isaac for I don't know if it was extension or if it was free agent, but 5 years, $80 million. So the guy doesn't play a lot, but he's still huge per game basis. He's one of the best defenders in the league, and like I'm going to continue to be a huge Magic fan this year. I'm I can definitely, I think there's a world where they win a playoff series this year, and if matchups work out well for them, they could be like the Pacers this year, and maybe make the conference finals. Probably not, but it's not out of the realm for sure.
Yeah, Chris, I just want to have a couple comments on that. I don't know if you said anything about how big of a loss this is for the Nuggets, but that's a huge loss for the Nuggets. I mean, they're gonna need Christian Brown and Watson to pick it up, but the Nuggets, they couldn't really pay him if they didn't want to. I think it was stay out of the second apron. I think they're already in the first apron, but he's making what 22 a year, I think. I think the Nuggets were offering high teens, so I don't blame him for leaving. But it's a huge loss for the Nuggets. The Chris Driscoll Magic agenda is at an all-time high. But yeah, the Magic gonna be good. They also I thought they were gonna be good this year, but then they signed known wash bum Klay Thompson. So Klay Thompson. He was reported to go to the rumored to go to the Magic. So I was a little worried about that, but then it's a good thing because I would have had to push some nasty agendas about the Magic.
We have no problem pushing nasty agendas about the Mavericks. We're well versed in that. We just add it to the list.
We can talk about Klay Thompson in that deal.
Yeah, what was the numbers on that? What was he making?
What was it
3 years?
3 years, 80 million?
No. Yeah.
50. Yeah, it wasn't 80, 50. Yeah, 50.
Yeah. I mean, like, how do you guys feel about that fit on that team? I mean, you already have Kyrie, you have Luka. It's kind of like having 3 guards. I know Luka's like a little bit bigger, but he's not going to be like a more traditional small forward defensively.
I mean, I have hated on Klay Thompson a lot. I think he is a massive douche, but the Mavericks in the finals, their catch and shooting was horrible. Their 3-point shooting was atrocious all year, really, not just in the finals. So you get a guy like Klay Thompson, obviously that improves their 3-point shooting, but their perimeter defense is very, very scary. You kind of mentioned that, Liam. Scary in a bad way. Luka, Kyrie, and Klay, it's just 3 walking turnstiles. But I mean, adding Klay Thompson, your team gets better.
I think that I don't like Klay Thompson as a player anymore. Great word, by the way, Matt. He is a douche, and I do think the value of this contract is pretty good. Like $16 million a year and only a 3-year commitment. Like that's like it's kind of a low risk move, but like you mentioned, that perimeter defense is going to be duty.
So, like I don't believe in Klay Thompson at all. I don't like. I think there is a world where the Mavs lose in the first round this year. They were the 5 seed this year, so I think there is a world where they fall to the 7th seed and then they lose to either the Nuggets, the Wolves, or the Thunder in the first round. I think that is 1,000,000% on the table, and I think it's screw it. I'm gonna say it since my Wi-Fi is lagging, and maybe this is a chance that the Mavs lose in the first round this year than make the finals. I don't think that should be a hot take either at all. I think there's a better chance they lose in the first round than they make the finals. So that doesn't really feel too bold. Actually, I feel like most people agree with that. But like I'm not a fan of Klay at all, like as a person and as a player. Actually, I don't know if he's a bad person, but like all I know is he seems like a douche in the interviews and on the bench. But Yeah, I think we got most of the important signings that we touched on most of the important signings. Besides another agenda of mine, Tobias Harris. He signed with the Detroit Pistons. I do I don't think the Pistons are going to for a second there. Like I thought the Pistons may have made the playing tournament. I don't know if that's going to happen at this point, but I don't know how well versed you guys are in the Pistons. I'm not too well versed in them either. But like I'm a fan of Cade Cunningham and Jay Nubb. You think they have the potential to be a solid backcourts, but I don't know if you guys had any comments on that.
I'll take it. Shout out to Tobias Harris's agents. Dude is amazing at his job. $52 million again for him. Also shout out me and John and I should say. We guessed PG to Philly last week. I believe you didn't. Oh, sorry.
I guessed PG to the Warriors, but I did get the Tobias one right, and Hartenstein.
Tobias and Hartenstein is what I was going to say. I guess KCP to Philly, but yeah. So not shout out John, but shout out me for guessing three free agents right.
Pat yourself on the back a little bit more, will you?
I did predict Jason Tatum and Derek White to sign with the Celtics, though, too. So that gives me a total of 3 as well.
Nice, yeah. I read a couple tweets and then agreed with them. So shout out me.
Good stuff, gentlemen. One thing I love to do in the show is break very mild news. So yeah, Kyle, I understand it's just signed with the Warriors for 3 years, $27 million. I touched last week about how much the Warriors blow. Who knows? Yeah, maybe they just got better by losing Klay Thompson and Kyle Anderson. I used to like Kyle Anderson. He was someone who I considered putting on my agenda, but he's just. It's not that I hate him either. He's just mid. Maybe the Warriors get better from that. But yeah, I only brought that. That's not a big signing at all. I only brought that up just to do my breaking news thing.
Known Timberwolves fan Ryan McManus absolutely hated Kyle Anderson last year.
Did he? Okay.
So
interesting.
The Warriors still go. Breaking news.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So there are. He's obviously still signing with the Lakers. However, it'd be the funniest thing in the world if he just left the Lakers that they're forcing them to draft his son and sign with the Cavs or something. But I don't think it's gonna happen. But there are four free agents left. I'll have to look up the cap space, but Gary Trent Jr. and Tyus Jones. So I guess we could talk about DeRozan first. What do you guys think? Where do you guys think DeRozan ends up?
I think DeRozan is a surefire candidate for the Lakers. He just seems like a total LeBron go get me that my friend pick, and then when it doesn't go right, I'm gonna start my son over him and then blame DeMar DeRozan when he plays poorly. That kind of seems like that's pretty much most of my reasoning behind it. But I think he definitely wants to go play in LA, and I think if he stays healthy and let's say LeBron AD kind of do a little magic and then maybe make a playoff run in the West, but it just seems like a Lakers to me.
I think I take a similar opinion. I think he'll be in LA, but I think he'll be with the Clippers. I don't know how it fits with the cap space with them, but they clearly have another hole on the team. I don't know if they can really pull it together with just Harden and Kawhi at this stage and whatever Russell Westbrook is nowadays. But I just don't see how the Lakers can bring him in the door. I guess it'd have to be some sort of a sign and trade. But they have to get rid of D'Angelo Russell first, which is an interesting one too. So I think he'll wind up with the Clippers, in my opinion.
DeMar DeRozan's from LA. I believe he grew up a Lakers fan. I think he's gonna go to Lakers in a sign and trade deal. They'll go from maybe not making out of the play into a first round exit with this move.
So this doesn't mean much. But it means like, if DeRozan's still prioritizing money, which he should. As of 7 hours ago, so a few of these might have changed. Keith Smith tweeted out the cap space. 4 teams left with cap space. The Jazz have 37 million left. The Pistons have 26 million left. The Magic have 23 million left, and the Sixers have 9 million left. I don't know. Like, I don't think he would I'm very, very confident he wouldn't re-sign with the Jazz or the Pistons. Magic might be interesting, but only problem is he's not a great 3-point shooter to help them, and he's not really great on defense either, which is what the Magic's identity is. So I don't think he'd really fit in well with them. Maybe he takes the mid-level exception with the Sixers. I don't know. That would but again, like that's like another mid-range thing. So like they do have shooters, but so maybe the Sixers might be an option. But yeah, I do like Lean's prediction for the Clippers. And the Lakers, and I know it's a thing like LeBron signing with his friend, but I just don't see him signing with the Lakers at all. Mainly just because of the fit and everything. The one thing that LeBron works with best, he works with 3-point shooters and guys who can defend. As I mentioned, DeMar DeRozan's a very bad 3-point shooter. He's getting older, so he's getting worse on defense, and just doing a sign and trade for trading D'Angelo Russell, who. Like, I'm not saying D'Angelo Russell is perfect at all. Like I said last week, that I don't think he could be the third option on a championship team, but I do think that he's a much, much better fit with LeBron than DeRozan. I think that next one, and I just read off the cap space team. So like a few of these are going to have to be for lower salaries, but I think Buddy Hield is an interesting one as well. Matt, what do you take on Buddy Hield if you have one? If you have any.
I'm not really sure where Buddy Hield goes. Did you? I forget. Did you mention the Suns? I don't know. Are they still in cap hell?
Yeah. They're still the three of them.
He won't go there. I really don't know. I really have. I mean, maybe the Jazz. I feel like the Jazz are. You're going to trade Lauri Markkanen possibly. Maybe they'll have more money to spend. Maybe they'll bring him in. But I really have no idea.
I kind of feel like he's going to wind up going to a team like the Jazz or the Pistons and take a lot of money at this stage. He's been around the league for a little bit, and I think he's in a weird predicament where he's not going to get max salary. He's not going to get like a small contract. So there's few and far teams that can afford him, and I think a team that wants to keep a veteran presence on the team while they're rebuilding or they're young, could really use him.
Yeah, this was interesting, and I think we even talked about at the beginning of the playoffs that like everyone was underrating the Sixers' addition of Buddy Hield, and granted, they didn't really make much noise in the playoffs, but like I feel like he goes under the radar a lot, and in a league where 3-point shooting is so valuable, he kind of is primed. He'd be a good fit on most teams. I think maybe the Warriors, maybe if they go to find a replacement for Klay Thompson. I don't know how the money would work. I'm not really sure how much he's asking for, but that seems like something that could be, kind of a Band-Aid over your Klay Thompson, him leaving. Again, not sure how the money works, but with the Nuggets losing KCP, do you bring in another shooter? Would that work? But, it all really depends on how much he's asking for. He was 31. He came in the league, I think, 7 or 8 years ago. I think he played all 4 years of Oklahoma, so he was a little older. But, we talked about the Nuggets losing KCP and how tough that is. And obviously, I don't think that would be totally replacing the benefits and everything that KCP gives you. But maybe that could be something interesting.
Yeah, good stuff. Those are the two that I really care about. I don't really care about Gary Trent Jr. or Tyus Jones. So, we can just move on to the last part of the episode.
Gary Trent is going to Miami. I know it. Such a Miami edition.
Yes, it is.
He's going to shoot 66% from 3 against the Celtics this year.
Yes, he will. And it'll be in Game 2, of course. We know that as well. Good stuff. So, speaking of the Miami Heats, who do you guys think are the biggest losers of the offseason so far?
The Miami Heat.
Yeah, not even just the offseason. There's losers. I hate that. But yes, they are. I think number 1 is the Heat. I think hot take number 2 is the Nuggets. I think losing KCP is a huge problem, and the West got way better. I mean, I think the Thunder are the favorite to come out of the West now with the addition of Hartenstein. I think the Timberwolves might make another jump. The Nuggets are I mean, obviously they have the best player in the league. They're not in a horrible spot, but they're in a tough spot right now.
I gotta go with the Clippers on this. I think look, teams like the Heat, the Bucks, the Lakers, they didn't really change, so I wouldn't consider them losers. Like, yeah, they got a little bit older, but they didn't lose anybody. Like, and I'm tired of talking about Paul George. I'm going to talk about him again. They lost arguably their best player on their team, and they have no replacement for him. Maybe they bring in DeMar DeRozan, but it's definitely a downgrade, and I think it's a big downgrade. It's not a fit in the team. So I'm not a big fan. I'm really not a big fan of the Clippers, what they're doing. I think they're going to be a middle of the road team potentially. They're running the risk, and you know, those guys are not getting any younger, and it's going to be hard to rebuild. I think they're not going to recover much from trading a Harden or a Leonard in a year or two.
Yeah, I agree, Liam. Also, I want to talk about how the Lakers are kind of big losers in free agency as well this year. The only addition they really made was Dalton Knecht from Tennessee in the draft. I mean, I think he's a very good player. I think he's NBA ready, but he's like an older pick, so I think he'll be fine.
And Bronny.
And Bronny. You know, you got to add guys that shot 37% from the field. But a lot of their targets, a lot of the free agent targets, they missed out on. LeBron, I don't know if this was just for PR, but he said he would take a pay cut, and they just didn't go out and get anybody. I think that might just be his PR team. His PR team is like 2013 Bron. They're insane. But, yeah, the Lakers, they haven't really improved at all. They just, they had a draft pick who I think will be well, but, not really any big moves.
We talked about most of the teams. Yeah, like I want to talk about a little bit more about Miami, just because we kind of just talked about them. We hated them not much, how much losers they are, but there's not really much to look forward to if you're a Heat fan at this point, except for maybe the development of Bam Adebayo. But even then, how much is there to look forward to with Bam Adebayo? Like, I feel like he is who he is at this point. Could he be the second best player in a championship team? Maybe. I think you really have to have a really big star, though, in order for that to happen. He's made the finals as the second option on a championship team twice now, but he's gotten need a much better player than Jimmy Butler or like a Jason Tatum to have a Bam Adebayo as your second best player to on a finals team. So other than him, Jimmy Butler's getting older. The Heat's depth stinks. Eric Spoelstra is still pretty young, so he's someone to hold on to. And like you can always say you have a relatively high ceiling with him, even if your floor is very low. But I just 3, and they spent the entire offseason talking about how much they were gonna how they were gonna get Dame and everything. So yeah, like the Heat are just the Heat culture is dying out pretty fast. And as we always say, like Heat culture has got to be the douchiest saying ever. Yeah, we're like more times in this episode than we have ever. So, and I have one more team. That's the Milwaukee Bucks. And besides our friend Jacob Blumberg, who's a guest on the show, like I'm probably someone who believes in the Bucks, like still believes in the Bucks more than anyone. They re-signed, they stole D-line right from the Heat, but other than that, what are they doing? So, not really much to.
Sorry, not to cut you off, Chris, but they hired Darvin Ham as an assistant. So maybe they are tanking for Cooper Flagg. We'll see.
Yeah, wouldn't be the worst move that they've made. Definitely wouldn't be the worst move they made, given that they traded away two-time champion Drew.
That's right.
All right. So, okay, yeah. So that's pretty much all we had for the day. But since we do have 10 minutes left, why don't we add to the segments? Since I already did in the monologue, John and Matt, why don't you actually talk more about how handsome and how great a person Brad Stevens is?
John, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Brad Stevens was an excellent college coach, and he was an excellent NBA coach. He took some of those. When you look back and you see some of the Celtics teams that he took deep into playoff runs, it was pretty impressive. With definitely not without flaw. I think sometimes NBA teams, especially young NBA teams, might need a coach with a little bit more fire, or just a lunatic like Joe Mazzulla. But I think this job that Brad Stevens is in right now, it was just made for him. It's analytically driven. Everything has a reason, and it seems like he had planned some of these moves like years in advance. I'm not saying he was thinking about Kristaps Porzingis in 2020, but when you prime yourself and you build a team that's in positions to make moves like Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. And then not only to do that, but then to, manipulate the cap enough to be able to not just trade for those guys to get one. Because I think if the Celtics traded for Drew Holiday and they won a championship and he was only here for a year or two, no Celtics fans would really be upset about that. Like, that's a good move. You won a championship, but that's the goal. That's what you got. But not only did he do that, he went and extended him, Derek White, Jason Tatum. He's getting all these guys that have been successful in the league for so many years and locking them down. So very, very impressive.
Yeah, Brad Stevens has no idea how much he has changed my life. I love that man so much. And also you talked about it in the monologue, Chris. Shout out Derek White. He's getting paid $31 million a year. I think he definitely could have gotten more money if he hit the free agency market. Emmanuel Quickley's making $35 million a year. OG Anunoby's making $42. So shout out Brad Stevens, shout out Derek White. Also, Celtics owner Wick Gruzback is planning to sell the team. Shout out him for locking everybody up and then planning to sell the team. Just letting the next owner deal with it. I love that move. I think that's awesome. But yeah, to come back to my first point, I owe my life to Brad Stevens. I love that man so much. He has no idea how much he's changed my life.
Liam, how would you feel if the Steinbrenners decided to buy the Celtics for like to buy them?
For what? Buy them for what?
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, yeah, if they bought the Celtics, how would you feel about that? Now that they have another focus on them.
That would be great for the Nets because there's a salary cap in basketball, and they would have no idea how that would work. I mean, well, I guess with George, with Hal, I don't know. That guy doesn't know what the heck he's doing. My blood's gonna boil if I start talking about how bad. Between him and Brian Cashman, they are the biggest frauds on the face of the earth. They have all this money to spend. Besides the Dodgers, they're in the best position year in and year out. And let's face it, the dynasty, the teams from 96 to 2000, even those years when they were really competitive, 2001, 2003, 2004, etc. Sorry, that's my roommate in the background sneezing. They were built by Gene Michael, the previous GM. But of course, Brian Cashman's gonna get like all of this, credit for supposedly developing Jeter when it was already done for him in the whole core four. And it's easy when you have money to spend and go out and buy juice heads like Roger Clemens. So I don't know. We'll leave it at that. I could go on.
You think they're going to pay Juan
Soto?
Soto?
They better. Otherwise, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they have nothing. They have Dominguez and Spencer Jones in the minor system, who knows if those guys ever pan out? You really don't know. I mean, Gary Sanchez didn't pan out. There's been a lot of Yankees the past 10, 15 years. I feel like they didn't make it. Uh, but I think you have to, because if you have Judge in the lineup, it offers protection. Um, but there's some big issues. I think they need more contact heading in the lineup, and I think they could definitely use better starting pitching. I know that they've played well this year so far, but I think they've performed above expectations, and they don't have guys that can go beyond 6 innings. Stroman, Cortez, none of those guys can get to
I
the
think that
order
is the
more than twice.
yeah. I think that is the perfect place to end with Liam. Literally, all Liam wanted to do on the show was talk about Brian Cashman. So even though this is a basketball show, I did want to give him the opportunity to publicly bash his beloved GM. So very happy that I gave him the opportunity to do that. But Liam, thanks so much for coming on the show. We'll definitely have you on again. Hopefully this time hopefully the next time I'll have better internet quality, because my past month my laptop has decided to act like an asshole. So hopefully hopefully we can get that fixed soon. But John, Matt, you were great as per usual. Thanks for coming on. As for everyone else, thanks so much for tuning into the show, whether you're watching it live or later. As per usual, make sure to follow all my accounts on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. All American. Subscribe to Sports Fluence on YouTube and give a follow to @SportsFluence on TikTok and Twitter. This has been another episode of All American Hoops under Sports Fluent Media, and I hope everyone has a great night.